Well, I mentioned that question to Chad about hiring issues because it's been a bit of a rambunctious week, I guess you could say, in the dental world. So we're coming off of SmileCon, we're coming off of the ADA's House of Delegates, and where they had a couple pretty big resolutions on the docket for workforce issues. And it has created quite a scuttlebutt in the dental community as these resolutions have had the light of day now for folks to review, particularly in the dental hygiene world. And so some of the resolutions were meant to address some of the issues that many of us, unlike Chad, are experiencing, particularly in the dental hygiene space, and identifying and finding candidates for dental hygiene in our practices. So they made a few modifications, passed a few resolutions to hopefully move forward the agenda to allow more folks to pursue the career of hygiene, even if temporarily. 3 total resolutions were passed to deal with this particular issue. The first was allowing internationally trained dentists a path to licensure just on the dental space, becoming licensed dentists here in the US. The second was letting active dental students and residents practice hygiene if they've fulfilled their competency requirements on the hygiene side. Then they can actually become a hygienist while also being in dental school. And then the third was increasing the number of faculty and student ratio. So modifying the faculty student ratio in our allied dental education programs to allow more students per faculty member. That's also actually to address the lack of ability for them to find qualified hygiene and dental assisting educators as well. So they're increasing the number of students that will be allowed per class in correlation with the number of faculty members there. No surprise that the support organizations, particularly the Dental Hygiene Association, American Dental Hygiene Association, has come out against the resolutions, wanting to work with the ADA to see if they can tweak this in some way that might be beneficial for both parties and for the patients involved. So we'll see how this moves over time, but they're going to have a bit of a challenge defending the fact that most dentists, in fact, the more recent data coming from the statistics that we're getting, the HPIs that we're getting from the ADA, is finding that 91.7% of those dentists that were surveyed indicated that they've been looking for hygienists and found it very challenging or extremely challenging. And currently, more than a third of our colleagues are currently looking to fill hygiene positions. So I think the ADA is kind of putting forward some resolutions for discussion to see if we can move the needle on those open positions and start getting these patients seen in a more efficient and timely manner. Another heads up for all of you who own small businesses, that would be most of us that are in the dental space. If you have less than 20 employees or have a gross annual revenue of less than $5 million, then you are required to start reporting the Corporate Transparency Act. That deadline is January 1 of 2025. You can go online, Google Corporate Transparency Act. It will take you to the site for you to fill out the information. It does take a bit of work. You have to register for an ID number and a few other requirements in order to fulfill this particular new law. There is continued pressure to extend that deadline, AKA, I think, try to get rid of this new act. But in the meantime, it is in place. And if you haven't fulfilled it yet, the deadline will be January 1 of 2025. I have to say the penalties are pretty hefty. Civil penalties would include fines up to $500 per day for non-filing. And then criminal penalties are also available or could be imposed as well at $10,000 for up to 2 years. So they're not laying on this lightly. If you haven't at least looked into it to make a plan for having this completed before the end of the year, I definitely would do so. You can seek help from your attorney or your CPA, but in full disclosure, it's a little time consuming, definitely annoying, but doesn't require a specialty degree to complete. A little consumer protection information coming out tonight for those who use Tom's of Maine. So the FDA has just officially placed a warning on the batch of Tom's of Maine toothpaste. This has been after years of trying to work with Tom's of Maine to address a known issue of having water-based bacteria in their toothpaste supply. They had identified several different bacteria that contribute to blood, lung, and urinary tract infections. 400 different complaints have been filed against Tom's of Maine from consumers about color, taste, and odor issues associated with these toothpastes. I think it has to do with the water lines coming in to the plant facilities, maybe even the municipal water supplies that they're using to clean the equipment that manufactures and packages the paste. They've had multiple warnings in 2021, 2022. This has led up to the spring of 2024, and the recent letter dated to them in November of 2024, where the FDA has now cited a pretty large restriction to this particular product. So, what this will mean for Tom's of Maine, I have no idea. If you didn't know, it's now a subsidiary of Colgate Palmolive. Many of us in the dental space have been familiar with Colgate for a very long time, but it does seem like the FDA is continuing to escalate their concerns with the manufacturing process for Tom's of Maine, and citing this bacteria infestation being a major issue. So we'll see how this translates. If you're a big fan of Tom's of Maine and you start to find the product is more difficult to locate in your grocery stores and online, this is likely a result of that particular issue. Two brands specifically that have been identified by name, and that is the White Clean Mint paste and the Wicked Cool anti-cavity paste marketed to kids. And with that, that's the news.
I'm going to try this real quick.
Okay, let's see you do it.
Why don't you sit back and watch this?
Okay.
Folks, today you might have noticed, if you live in Texas, that the Texas State Board of Dental Examiners did send out a notification to those dentists in Texas. Actually, what this notification is in reference to is a fraud alert. The notification is dated Wednesday, November 20th, 2024, and the Texas State Dental Board of Examiners would like to acknowledge that they did not indeed issue a mandate requiring all dental professionals to be vaccinated against COVID-19 by January 1st, 2025. If you did receive this notice, please disregard. If you have any information as to the origins or have received the fraudulent letter, please contact complaints@tsbde.texas.gov. Thank you. So, folks, apparently there is some fraudulent activity occurring in the state of Texas. And if you are a victim to that, please note that you do not have to be mandatorily vaccinated against COVID-19 by January 1st, 2025. And with that, that's the rest of the news.